Hello everybody, welcome to today's channel. Today's video. I am Chris the Shriner Dog coming to you from Twin Falls, Idaho. We are going to go check out the Magic Valley Mall that is right outside the truck right here. I visited this mall once before. I believe it was the summer of 2022 or 2023. I don't remember which it was. I do have some footage from that trip. I have it saved on an external hard drive. I just gotta go find that footage. And if I can find the footage, I'll go ahead and add it on before I add on the footage I get of today's trip. Anyways, come with me. Let's go check out the mall and do a walk along and enjoy some of this history. I know it's a mall that no one really ever hears about. No one really ever talks about malls in Idaho. But since I'm here often, I might as well just add it. Can't find much information about it or anything about it on social media really, outside of what I'm doing today. Anyways, come enjoy the mall with me. Now, before I actually go in, I do have to say that the whole purpose of this video is just to document the mall. Not to do anything malicious, not to do anything illegal, because I am very much against that. I am against people going and taking things of free will and stuff like that. I'm just there to take pictures, take video, leave nothing but that. I'll leave with nothing but that. Don't take this video as a thing for me to say that it's a dead mall, because I'm not saying that this mall is a dead mall by no means. I'm just here to document it. Well, as promised, here is that old footage from a few years ago. Originally, I thought it was like the summer of 2022 or 2023, like I said at the very beginning of the video, but it was actually January 6th, 2023. So, year I got right, but the actual date I got wrong. And so, all this footage up until about halfway through the video, I want to say, is all footage filmed from that day. And I'll go ahead and leave a subtitle of when the new footage starts up. Now, this old original footage I filmed with the GoPro Hero 5, and that was like one or two models before they introduced the hyper smooth function they have in their current GoPro cameras. I filmed this section at 1080p 60 FPS, whereas the second half of the video I filmed in 5.3K 60 FPS. So you might also notice, not only will you notice that the newer footage is less shaky than this footage, but you'll also see that the picture is more clear than this footage. It looks a little grainy in this footage, and I apologize, but again, I was solely here just to document what was here at that time. The Magic Valley Mall is an enclosed shopping mall located in Twin Falls, Idaho. The mall originally opened on October 29, 1986 with JCPenney and Shopko as anchor tenants. Today, the mall is anchored by JCPenney, Hobby Lobby, Kohl's, and the Magic Valley Cinema 13, all of which you will be able to see in this video today with a short walkthrough of Kohl's. In February 1979, Lewis Douglas Company proposed plans for a shopping mall in Twin Falls on land owned by Orrin Boone, a farmer, located on the northeast corner of Blue Lakes Boulevard and Pole Line Road. In March 1980, General Growth Properties purchased the site from Lewis Douglas Company and announced plans for Canyon Ridge Mall. The proposed 512,000 to 700,000 square foot mall would consist of 4 department stores and 90 specialty stores, with the completion date of fall 1982 or early 1983. At the same time, Woodbury Corporation announced plans to separate the shopping mall across from Canyon Ridge Mall on the west side of Blue Lakes Boulevard. By May 1980, zoning changes were approved to allow construction of both shopping malls. In February 1981, a third mall developed by Price Development Corporation received zoning change to construct on a 30-acre site south of the Canyon Ridge Mall site on Pole Line Road. After facing opposition from nearby Green Acres housing subdivision, the Twin Falls City Council denied the zoning change, which triggered a 2-year court battle between the city and Price. In September 1983, Price abandoned its original plan and acquired the Canyon River Mall site from the General Growth Properties. Price's new plans call for a smaller 450,000 square foot mall with 4 department stores Twin Falls City Council approved the development in February 1984. In May 1984, a spokesman for Price confirmed it was courting the Bon Marché, JCPenney, and ZCMI to anchor the shopping mall. ZCMI was rolled out as a potential anchor in March 1985. 2 months later, Shopko announced plans to anchor the new mall, now named Magic Valley Mall, as part of a plan to open 6 stores in Idaho. The Bon Marché, and JCPenney were later confirmed to relocate from downtown Twin Falls to the mall. JCPenney also announced the closure of a store in Jerome, Idaho, as part of its plan to open at the mall. Price Development broke ground at Magic Valley Mall on August 21st, 1985. The mall's first tenant, Shopko, opened on October 13th, 1986, and JCPenney and other smaller tenants opening on October 29th. The Bon Marché opened July 30th, 1987. In November 1988, Sears announced plans to relocate from downtown Twin Falls to the mall. The store opened on August 2nd, 1989. A fifth tenant, Lamont's, was added to the mall in February 1992, but closed in December 1996. In 1995, a strip mall was built next to the mall, with Barnes & Noble as an anchor. In September 1998, Real Theaters opened a 6-screen discount movie theater in a space formerly occupied by Lamont's. The theater was sold to Interstate Amusement in May of 2000 and renamed Odyssey Theater. In August 2003, the Bon Marché was renamed Bon Macy's and became a full-fledged Macy's in January 2005. In March 2011, Cinema West announced plans to replace the Odyssey Theater with a larger, newer cinema complex. Odyssey Theater was shut down in September 2011, with the new Magic Valley Cinema 13 opening on May 2012. On August 1st, 2017, Macy's announced it would not renew its lease at the mall and shut down in early 2018. On January 4th, 2018, Sears announced it would close its store at the mall in April. The Macy's store was replaced by Hobby Lobby in September 2018, and on February 6, 2019, Shopko announced it would close on May 12, 2019. On August 5, 2019, Kohl's confirmed it would open a store at the former Sears building. The store would open May 11, 2020, near the beginning of the COVID pandemic. And it was just really strange to once Macy's and Sears all closed, that left JCPenney and also when Shopko closed, that also left means that JCPenney is the last sole store that opened up with the mall to be there and still open. So now that we actually have a little bit of the history done, this is the only history of the mall that I can actually find. I kind of wish I actually knew more of this history when I was actually making the film, but that's okay, because the day I actually recorded this footage, I wasn't even planning on doing this originally. On this day, I was on my way back to, I was going from Nampa, Idaho to Twin Falls, Idaho for the next day. But, with being a truck driver and having to be hold to the 14-hour rule, and what that is, let me explain that real quick actually. So as a professional truck driver, as a CDL truck driver, I am allowed to be on duty for only 14 hours a day. And of the 14 hours, I'm only allowed to be on the road for 11 hours. I'm only allowed to drive for 11 hours a day. Now, with that 11 hours, I can only drive for up to 8 hours at one time before I had to take a half-hour break. And after that half-hour break, I am granted the additional 3 hours to drive. But after the 11 hours is up, I am no longer allowed to move my truck. So this day in particular, when I was recording this footage, I started off in Salt Lake City, drove up to Nampa, Idaho to drop off a loaded container and pick up an empty container and take that to Idaho Falls, which is about a 4.5 hour drive in a truck from Nampa, Idaho. Nampa is a suburb of Boise, Idaho. So I got up there, did my thing. I parked at a Walmart up in Nampa, Idaho, right next to the Amazon facility I was driving up to. And I parked at that because when I got to the Amazon facility, I only had about an hour left of drive time before I had to take a half-hour break. So I did my thing, dropped off the load, picked up an empty, parked at the Walmart next to the Amazon facility I was at, took my half-hour break, and then at that point I had about 4 hours. Now to get to Twin Falls and Jerome area from Nampa takes me about 2.5, almost 3 hours in my truck. Because my truck is governed at 65 miles per hour, so I can only go a top speed of 65 miles per hour. Even if it's a 70 mile per hour speed limit. So I get there and I start going down, and by the time I get to Twin Falls, I still have like an hour and a half left of drive time. So I could have gone a little bit further, but at the time of the recording of this video, I was in the day cab, and the Comfort Inn and Suites that's in Jerome, Idaho, off of exit 173 on I-84 was the first hotel we could stay at. The company paid for the hotel room for me. So I was in a day cab, no sleeper, so I stayed there for the night. But the thing is, once I park my truck and go off duty for the night, I'm not allowed to move that truck for 10 hours. So I had some time to spare. So I checked into my hotel. I went ahead and grabbed an Uber. This mall is about 2 miles from the hotel I was staying at. And that's why I was able to get this footage, because I had found out about a week or two prior to this visit that this mall even existed. And yeah, sure, I could have done some research about this. I probably could have done that and added that in and stuff like that, but I didn't think to do that. So this footage is just me walking around documenting what was filmed on the specific day in 2023. I think it was, like I said, I think it was January 6, 2023. And that's what this mall looked like at that time. And did I know if I was going to come back to this mall in the future? No, I had no idea at the time. But I am actually honestly happy that I was able to document this when I did. Because like I said, I had no idea if and when I would ever come back to this mall in the future. But I have always been a fan of taking before and after photographs and or videos. What got me into stuff like that, I know it's not specifically directed towards this mall, and that's not really exactly the subject of the video, but I wanted to kind of introduce to everybody why I get into stuff like this. Anyways, I went to Germany for a church mission in April of 2003. Before that, I had taken a couple pictures of the SeaTac Mall. That's what the SeaTac Mall is called, that because SeaTac Mall is my home mall in Federal Way, Washington. That's my hometown. That's where I grew up. And I used to go to SeaTac Mall all the time in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s. I used to go there all the time with some friends. And that mall opened up, I think it was 1976. So it still had like various 70s looking decor at the time. And I've done videos there before, and I'll share a link to that here in the video, in like a little card or like in the description box down below somewhere. But anyways, I went to Germany April 2003. I got back home May 2005 after being in Germany for 2 years and stuff like that. But parents didn't really tell me about that, about like any of the changes going on. Doesn't matter. Didn't matter to me because that's not why I was in Germany, to focus on stuff that was going back at home. Yeah, sure, I wanted to know what was going on with the family, but that was about the extent of what I cared about from back home at the time. Anyways, I got back home from Germany and I saw that the Mervyn's at the SeaTac Mall was no longer there. And instead, they had demolished the old Mervyn's in the mall and built a new Target. And at the time, I thought there would be 2 Targets on Federal Way, Washington. The one at the mall and the one that was about a mile or 2 up the road. Little did I know at the time that old Target that was a mile or 2 up the road had closed in 2004 when the new Target at the mall opened up. And then the first time I went to the mall after getting home from Germany, the entire interior of the mall had gotten renovated to look more modern. And so it looked like it was, the time period, early to mid 2000s, of when the mall looked like that. And that started my interest of doing before and after photos. And that's where we come to today. And that's why I started doing videos like this, just to document before and after. And I know my YouTube channel is all over the place, but that's why I want to say that I primarily focus on stuff like that. And now in this part of the video, we get to the most recent footage filmed on February 19th, 2025, this year, just a few days old at the recording of the audio for this video. So at the time of the recording of this new footage, I'm working for a new company, and obviously I have to document what movies are playing right there at the time of filming, because obviously movies come in and out of movie theaters. But as you can see at the very beginning of the video, I was recording on the back side of the Shopko video that you saw earlier on in the video. And I just do have to mention that later on in the video, I do get some a little more documentation about the Shopko property. One of the major differences, if not the only major difference, from the old footage is that the sign for Shopko is no longer there. They had taken it down between my original footage and this current footage. So it doesn't say Shopko anymore there, but you can see the label scarring and stuff and all that stuff on the store now. And at the time of the original recording of back in 2023, I did not go up to the window of the Shopko building and record the inside, because at the time I could have walked in there, walked around a little bit, but they had a bridal shower. Well, not really a bridal shower going on, but they had like a bridal convention going on for the weekend, because in Idaho and in Utah, getting married is a very popular thing. Like it is, I mean, it's popular everywhere you go, but it just seems like in Idaho, Utah, and Arizona, there's just a higher rate of people getting married at a younger age. And that's what was going on the first weekend I was there. So that's why I did not record in the middle of what was going on there. And now we're going through the interior of the mall. And I hope you enjoy some of this footage. Let's just see what's been updated. Now, I do have to mention at this point of the video that at the time of the recording of this 2025 footage, it was the middle of the day on Wednesday. People were in school, people were at work, so that's why it doesn't look like it's very busy at this point, which is okay, because I generally don't like filming places like at the mall when there's a lot of people around, because to me, it makes me feel weird and feel awkward. So I usually like to record when there's not a whole lot of people around, like in the middle of the day, during the week. And as you can see, the old Buckle right there is closed up. I think they're reopening in a new spot. But the Buckle Jr. is still around there somewhere in the same area. And that's one thing that had changed since the last time I recorded. And also there's a new food court space. It looks like the one right there in the corner. It has like a yellowish coloring to it. It looks like it's still closed. And then right next to it is still like open, like a new restaurant and stuff like that. But still, there wasn't a whole lot of like food court choices when I went there too, which is not a problem. I mean, the mall is generally a small mall, and it takes probably like no more than like 5 or 10 minutes to walk across the entire mall, and that's when you're taking your time to walk around and stuff like that. It's not super huge as compared to other malls that I've been to before. And also, I do have to mention, I don't remember if I mentioned this earlier on in the video, but when I was recording the 2023 footage, I did not realize that JCPenney was the last anchor or the last store in the mall that had opened when the rest of the mall had opened. Now, 4 out of 5 of the anchor spots here at the mall are still full, and the last one to close was the Shopko. And as you can see in the video, it was already closed, and it still is closed to this day. Hopefully, I mean, in 2023 footage, they had the Bridal Expo. Hopefully someone occupies the Shopko space, but you'll see it's kind of a little run down. It could use a little bit of a facelift, especially especially in the area where that would be like the garden center, stuff like that. A little bit of overgrown grass and the cracks and stuff like that. It would be nice to have that be like a little bit of a facelift, and maybe use as like a mini like strip mall, I guess you could say, with a whole bunch of different like different like booths or stands, like a farmer's market type thing, using that space, like at least on the weekends or maybe even throughout the week, especially when during the colder months of the year, because Idaho can get really cold. It's just that it's unseasonably, well, it was still cold at the time of the recording of this footage, but usually by now there's like about a foot or two of snow on the ground there. So it's just weird out here in Idaho, Utah, parts of Nevada, the parts that usually get a lot of snow. There wasn't a whole lot of snowfall this year. And it was just weird not to see that here this time. But a place like Shopko, the empty Shopko, I think would be a great place for like a weekend farmer's market for people who sell their arts and crafts, sell hobby stuff. Have that be like a week-long thing, or maybe even like a weekend-long thing, so that way people can stay in business or even make more money. I think that would be like a very useful space of that tenant, at least until someone comes to fully occupy that space. You know what I mean? That is something I would actually like to see. Honestly, come to think of it, I don't think much has changed between my 2023 and 2025 stops. I mean, I wish that I could find more footage of the mall or more photographs I could use of the mall to include into this video. But it really is hard to find anything about this mall, whether it comes like video, history, photos of the mall and stuff, like old photos and stuff like that. It's hard to find any of that. I was able to find one commercial. I'm not going to use it in this video, but there is one video that has like a commercial from, I think it was from, I want to say the early 2000s to the 2010s at some point. If I can find that commercial on YouTube, I'll go ahead and add a card to it here in the video, or I'll add it in a link down below in the description box, so you can go back and see what it looked like when that one went live, you know. So anyways, do I recommend going to this mall? Yeah, sure. I mean it's the only mall that I've seen in the area. I think the closest mall to it is in Boise. Yeah, I think there's a mall in Boise in that area, and I think the only other mall that I can think of that might be close to it would be the Grand Teton Mall in Idaho Falls, which is, like I said, 2 hours away. Hopefully one of these days I can go do like a mall walkthrough at that mall, because I've been to that mall in 2005, 2006. Because I did 2 semesters at BYU Idaho and Rexburg, Idaho. But I never got any footage. I had a camera, but I never really brought it around or took any pictures in the mall. So I wish I did that back in the day. But I do remember thinking back then that I was going to get arrested and go to jail if I was taking pictures or footage and stuff like that of the mall. But back then, YouTube wasn't much of a thing. I know it was just starting out back then, 2004, 2005 and stuff like that, right around that area. And had I actually been YouTubing back then, I would have recorded that. And I wish I had the documentation from that time too. But can't go back and change the past. It is what it is. Documenting this stuff now, so that way we can look back at this maybe like 10, 15, 20 years from now and say, hey, oh man, the mall was way different back then. One of these days, I'll make it back to Federal Way, Washington, my hometown, to record some footage of the CDI Mall now, because from what I've heard, that mall is severely suffering right now, looking pretty bad from what I've heard. I haven't been back to Federal Way in almost 5 years, and I don't think I did a mall video back in 2020, because I wasn't really doing YouTube in 2020. I think the last video I have of the SeaTac Mall is, I think, 2018. Horrible quality, but I'll go ahead and share a link to that down below, so that way you all can go back and watch that mall. And hopefully one of these days I can go back and record that. And hopefully one of these days, like, I will be able to go back to Magic Valley Mall and do some more recording. But I think for right now, the footage I have of the Magic Valley Mall will suffice. Maybe give me like another 5 or 10 years before I do another video of the Magic Valley Mall. I mean, I don't do mall videos very often, but I probably should, because I feel like I love going to malls. I've always been interested in going to the malls and stuff like that. But I wish, I mean, it is what it is. I can't really do anything to change it, but the only thing I can do is just document what's there, what it looks like today, and then reflect back on it 10, 20 years from now, and do an updated video then. Okay, now these are the interior shots I was talking about earlier on in the video that I wanted to get with the Shopko. I didn't do this originally, like I said, in my 2023 footage, because there was a bridal expo going on. I didn't really want people thinking I was in there being a creeper trying to video people changing into their dress. I don't want, you know, I don't want that vibe going on in my video. So that's why I'm doing this now, because no one is occupying it right now. No one's using it for anything else. So that's why I went ahead and recorded that. And then that JCPenney, I remember getting that footage now. And because by the time I did this 2025 footage, that's when I learned that JCPenney was the last remaining store at the mall that opened with the mall. And that's why I wanted to get that. And I'm glad I got the footage of in the 2023 footage of walking through the JCPenney, because I didn't remember I got that back then. So I'm glad I got it when I did. All right, I'm going to go ahead and leave it here, leave the narration at the end right there. This is going to be the end of my narration for the rest of the video. So I hope you enjoyed the rest of the video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below and hit the notification bell to get notified for whenever I post a new video. Thank you for finding this video. Thank you for lasting through this entire time watching the video. Your viewership, your subscription, your like, your dislike, your comments, all that is highly appreciated. Don't forget to do any of that down below. Don't forget to check out any of the other links down below that I will be putting in the description box. Enjoy those videos. We'll talk later. Enjoy the rest of the video. Thanks for your viewership. We'll talk later, and can't wait for the next video. I'll see you there in the next video. Bye.
Everybody watching has to subscribe. Subscribing is cool. Thanks.